Here we go. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another monthly meetup from Angular APAC. And if you haven't joined any our meetup, you can just go into angularnation.net and create an account. All of our meeting is like free for everyone. You just need to have an account on Angular Nation. We are a closed community, and people here is very nice. Just so you know. So today we are welcoming Pankaj. Uh, Okay, I'm gonna try to do it again, but we welcoming Pankaj, and he actually is my friend in Singapore. I met him actually only one time, and we haven't had a chance to see each other again since the COVID. But I'll sure we do it very soon. And Pankaj, if you don't know him, he's both a Microsoft MVP and also Google developer expert at the same time. So he has about 8 years working in Microsoft technology and also in the like front end technology like Angular, React, and Vue.js. So today, Pankaj, uh, over to you and show us something nice.
Yeah, sure. Let me share my screen. Um, Give me a moment.
Hi, Connie.
I think Connie misplaced her monitor. Yeah, she's looking for a monitor. Oh, there is my computer.
Hi, Connie.
Hey, yeah, can you see my screen?
I think I booked him, but maybe we
Yes.
both did.
Yes.
I just want to say that not very many people are MVPs and GDEs at the same time. So there are some, but it's a very small list, and I'm just very impressed with you.
Yeah.
Don't let it go to your head.
Yeah, so thank you for that. Yeah, so let's begin with the topic, which is lazy loading recipes. So basically, in this session throughout, we are going to see what are the different lazy loading techniques that are exist, and mostly we are going to more focus on component lazy loading. Okay, and in terms of what these things will give a basically these things are basically when you apply to your project, you will get a perf benefit, meaning performance benefits. So we so basically before starting, little bit about myself. Most of the things have been explained by um, uh, Trung. So I'm working as a senior consultant in Virtusa, and also I'm MVP and GD. Also, I do contribute at Stack Overflow as well. So if you want to follow me, you can just follow me on Pankaj Parkar handle that mentioned here. So yeah, on Twitter or GitHub. So let's get back. So initially, we will look at what is lazy loading in general terms. So in general terms, it is a technique of loading relevant resources on demand. What that means is like, like take an example of any big application, and that might have several pages. Like you can have a dashboard or maybe a listing page. So what lazy loading ensures is in general terms, when you load a dashboard page, it should load that many resources only which are used in dashboard page. And same on listing page, if you are listing down the entities, or suppose that is customer listing page, so you will be only getting the resources that are used for customer for customer page only. So that's what the general lazy loading is, what it means. So what we are going to look at, so we are going to look at four things. First one is how to dynamically load component. Then we are going to look at something new, which is import and scam, how we can lazy load the component using import, and what is the scam, which is single component Angular module. And then we will go for little bit complex things, so it will become advanced little bit after this. So we will try to get some configuration, and based on that we will try to render a form, and that will be simple one. And then we will go for the complex configuration based form. So these are the four things, and at the end we will look at something interesting, which I think 2 days back it was announced by Angular team. So yeah, so let's begin. So first thing is we are going to look at is how to load component dynamically in Angular. So suppose let's take an example of this HTML only. So what we have on this HTML, we have a button, and under the button we have a ngContainer div. So in Angular, ngContainer div is kind of placeholder, for things you want to put in dynamically. So in this case, what we are going to do, on click of a button, we are going to introduce one component inside that ngContainer. So to catch that component placeholder, that ngContainer placeholder, you can always use view child and mention that component, template ID, and like read view container ref is nothing but read the view container of that particular ngContainer. And later on, what you can do is inside show business card method, you can try to inject that component inside ngContainer. So for that, you have to follow these 3 steps. First one is get the component and resolve it from factory resolver, which comes from component factory resolver here. And once that factory is present, what we can do is now this factory can be injected anywhere. Okay. So where we want to inject it, so over here, right? So we will be doing this dot dynamic component dot create component method. So we will be using create component method on top of view container ref, and we will be passing that component factory to it. So, and if you have, so basically it will return a component reference, which is component instance programmatically created. And from that component reference, you can get dot instance. And if you want to pass any input props, you can do. So this was very, boring, like slide example, but we are going to look at how we can do it actually in code. So let's do this in code itself. Let me pin this. So this is the very scaffold application that I created, those 4 points first, which I described before. And for this one, I'm going to use this page, and everything is empty here. Okay. So I will open a application that I have created, just to save some time. And I will go a little bit over it. So basically it have a very simple architecture that we do create using Angular CLI. So it has an app folder, and it has also have many folders, but for now we will be focusing on dynamic component loading folder only. And later on we will keep on evaluating each folder as we go, as we dig in. So this is the component that is rendering, and if you look at the HTML of it, you will see that I have 3 buttons: show business card, show user list, and clear. And there is one ngContainer. So same is appearing here. So that's cool. And yeah, just mentioning, I have used material design just to be sure, like, without much effort, I can get better UI. Yeah. So right now, if I click on show business card or any of the method, nothing is happening right now. So we are going to fill in this. So it should render something dynamically inside somewhere on the screen, which will be this ngContainer placeholder. So let's do that. So I have already written few things. I have created one profile object, which have title, subtitle, description, and image. So I'm going to create one card dynamically, and that card will be put it inside the ngContainer. So we have written view child, which is getting a dynamic component from HTML. This one, okay. And we are saying that read it as a view container, right? So that we can add something into it. So let's look at the implementation of it. What we have to do is, as we said, the show business card method will insert a business card inside view container ref. So let's do that. So I'm going to just say business card, And what we will do is we are going to use the component factory resolver object, which will help you to create a component factory. So let's have instance of it and use resolve component factory method. And that method will accept a component directly. So that component will be business card component. I will show you quickly what it has. It is very simple component. It has a profile input object and it shows a mat card, which is very simple. It is showing up a details and image. Yeah. Now I just use that particular component, business card component, and I created a factory out of it. Let's name it as a as well. Now, where we want to inject this? We want to inject this inside a dynamic component ng container. So on top of that, we will be saying that, hey, take this factory and create a component out of it. So I'm just going to call create component method. And then I'm going to say, hey, get this component factory. So if you look at the create component method, obviously it's as it say, it will create a component. So basically it returns the same. So we can say that like it returned a component. Okay. And if you try to see what happened on the UI right now on when we do this, let it get refreshed. I hope it is visible. Let me increase the font a bit. So I think there are some failures because it is saying that title of undefined. Because what? Because if you look at this business card component HTML, you will see that we having some object and we are expecting it to have values and we haven't passed it yet. So how can we pass those value, input props or output props? So to pass that, you can always use a property on top of that component, which is component instance dot profile, and you can pass on that attribute. So I just created a local object, which is local property, which is this dot profile, which has a object details, profile details, and just I'm going to save it. Let it happen. And as soon as I do that, see, automatically it will render the component dynamically. I know this is very basic, but we will gradually go on and we will go into some advanced stuff. So let's do the similar thing for the other one, which is user list component. So I'm going to copy paste this the same way. And instead of business card component, I'm going to use user list component. And let me see, did I have any users? Okay. Okay, I think so. Maybe I have list somewhere. Okay, I have the list users. I'll just pass it. So to pass it, we will again do component dot instance and users. Because why we passed users? Because if you look at this user list component, it is also have a input props, which is users, and it will again do a ng-for on top of it and render all the user. So just mat list with list options ng-for. So let's pass it. Happen with that string array. I think there is some type issue. Let me fix it quickly. I think I have upgraded the TypeScript version. That was a type issue. Yeah. So I just passed the users object and let's see what happens now. When we click on the user list, it should also render something. And when I click on the show business card, it should render the show business card. Right now, what's happening is it is, keep on appending the components to the ng container. So somehow there should be a way to clear this. So we will do one thing, like I have created a clear method which clear the the ng container part. So let's call this before rendering in each method. So that will take care of that. This one, and if we do the second one, it will automatically clear and put the new one. So this was a very simple example. And let's move on to the next part, which is very interesting, which is import plus scam. So what is import? Import is nothing but simple ES6 import, and scam is nothing but single component Angular module. So we will have a look at it, how we should write it, and we will have a general idea of what the scam is also. But before that, I will explain you what we are going to do for seeing this example live. So basically, I'm going to use one application, that weather forecast widget. That is a application that I only create, which looks like this, and you can get the code of this from here. So this complete application may take, I don't know, somewhere around 7 to 8 KB when we load it. Just a application size. I'm not considering the Angular framework size, but just the application part. And we are going to load this complete widget as a scam module inside our application. So that's what we are going to do. But let's see how we can write a scam. Okay. So to write the scam, what it says is single component Angular module. So basically, your Angular application will be divided into small, generally we divide a complete application into small. We used to divide the complete application into small modules, but now we are going more granular, and we can think of having a small components that can be that can be similar as that of, we can think of as in React component. You just have a component and export it from there. You don't have to create a kind of core modules. We used to do core module, share module. And over here, what you're going to do is to achieve the same behavior, whatever component you have to write that. Okay. And inside the same file, you have to declare the ng module for that component, so that that component is declared inside ng module. Meaning, what I'm saying is, generally it's mandatory thing. Your component should have declarations. It should be declared somewhere, and it can be declared inside only ng module. So we are just making sure that we will write component in our, and in the same file we will be having ng module of that component, which will make sure that whatever dependency that your component is having, that will be already taken care by this ng module. So you won't be having like app, not app module, but in this case whether app.module.ts. So I will show you what exactly it looks like. And yeah, so this is what I can say the scam module is. So your component file will have the module as well. This might get changed in future, but yeah, for now we have to do this because this is I mean, your component should have declarations. So yeah, so let's look at this example live, how we can do this. So let me close all. And if you look at the src folder again, I have copied the complete weather app in a folder weather forecast. This is the complete app, which contains many components and other assets too. So what was the main thing? Like, earlier what we used to do is we have this weather forecast module.ts, and we used to import it somewhere inside the app module.ts. But right now, I don't want to use it that way. I want to use it as a scam. So for this weather forecast application, the main component is weather dashboard. So what I did is, as I said, go to your main component, which is weather dashboard component, and underneath that, you have to declare your ng module. So I have declared the ng module and I have added all the dependencies of that component and its child components. Okay. So if you, I mean, to save some time, I have written it directly, but you can see that I have declared a module name weather forecast module, and it export the weather dashboard component, and it have all the dependencies. Okay. Now the great thing is, when it comes to use it, it becomes very interesting. So let's see how to do that. So I'm going back to the slide, and so that is how the way, the way of declaring a scam. And how to use it, that's the interesting thing. So same way, we will be taking same page, which is very simple, button and ng container, and we will be calling load weather widget method. So over here, container will take a hold of ng container, your view child thing. This will take a hold of ng container. Then later on, when we call the load weather widget, what we have to do is we have to get the component instance from that particular folder path. Okay. And over here, you will see one interesting thing. We haven't mentioned weather dashboard, weather forecast module anywhere in the application. We are just importing this file, and that will make sure that the component is there and the module registration will happen. I mean, the factory will be, or the things will be in a place basically. And what we are doing afterwards, we are using ES6 import and using await to resolve this promise. We generally do this in case of routing, if you remember correctly, like the module, and then we pick the module from the then. So same way we did for component, and we got the instance of a weather component in variable, and then follow the same steps what we did in the first example. Okay, so those are like these 3 lines: get the factory, put it inside the ng container, and pass the input props to it so that it can behave according to that. So let's try to implement this. So for this, as I said, this complete folder is nothing but weather forecast application, and out of it, this is component, and it also has ng model underneath it, and that's it. So let's go back to the application homepage, and we are going to see the second example, import scam. Now nothing will happen. What's the link? Dynamic component loading scam. So let's open the component.ts, and it is pretty simple. Nothing is there. And on HTML, what we have seen is it have load weather widget method. Okay, so load weather widget method. So we are going to have an implementation of it. So as we say, like as we have seen, what we are going to do here is first thing we have to grab the weather dashboard component somehow, right? So how to do that? To do that, and there is one more interesting thing that I will cover it afterwards. But yeah, what we are going to do is we are going to use ES6 import. So since you are using await, you have to convert your method to be async, and just go with the path. I think so. I have to go one folder back, then weather forecast, and then weather dashboard. And out of it, I have to do a dot then over it. I think it should be a folder, then folder component.ts as well. And then later on I can do weather dashboard component. Okay, let me it a bit. Yeah, so I just got the instance of it, and let's copy the other lines from here that we did earlier. I'm just going to copy that and use it. So factory, then use this instance because we just imported it dynamically. I'm just going to use the imported instance. Okay, and later on I'm just copy pasting because I don't want to get into the same stuff. And over here what we are going to do is we are going to use the container. Yes, so inside container we will be creating a component and we will be passing I think no need to pass anything as such. Let's see first this works or not. So we just have an implementation, and I will show you one thing which could be interesting for you. So yeah, so this is the particular thing, and if I click on the load weather widget component, okay, let's have a debugger here too. Dynamic and .ts, this one perform a bit. So yeah, and so see, for now network is pretty much clear. Let's go here, and yeah, as soon as you have this request, you are going to get that file from the location. I mean, whatever JS file you ask for. So what is the best advantage of it is like as I said, like this is lazy regarding lazy loading. So what you did is you get the resource whenever you need it using the native async approach, native import approach of ES. So you got the file, you got the component, and now you are going to inject it inside a HTML. So that a traditional way to do it, and you will see that the complete widget is getting loaded. So yeah, so the non-minified file size was somewhere around 64K, but 62K, but that will be 7-8K. And you know, that will be very big win. Like even we are saving some bytes. So yeah, so that was related to scam and async import. So this kind of thing you can use inside your application where you have suppose a page where things are role based, like based on user role you are going to show up a things, and in that case you can have your your single scam components and scam basically, and you load it whenever you need it, so that may save some bits of your application. So this was the second one. Stop me if you have any question, we can just clear it out, otherwise I will keep on talking. So
Keep on talking.
okay, yeah, so the third one is then now the things will become little bit interesting because this is little advanced stuff. How to go for the config based simple form, and the hint here is use ngComponentOutlet. Okay, but yeah, there are some catch, so we will see that as well. But let's see, like let's assume that how we can do that. So suppose you have a controls, suppose you have a dynamic form that has to be rendered on the page. Okay, so this can be a map file somewhere present inside your application as a constant file or something. So for now I have created few components like currency, the controls component, currency, number, select, slider, and let me show you quickly. They are very simple. So they are under folder called as controls. So currency have very simple mat field and currency component, and they all are what I can say, they all are custom form control itself, because they should act like a form control, right? So for that I use this way to do it. So you can have a look at the code. So same way, similar way, there are more component, number, select, which is mat select, and the slider. And we have created a map of it. Okay. And what we want to do is we want to render these controls on the page dynamically. So what you can do is basically you can have ng for over controls, right? So you can just quickly have this ng for over the controls, and then later on for rendering components there is one existing directive in Angular, that is ngComponentOutlet. Okay, what it basically takes is it takes the component and it will create an instance out of it and it will render inside it. Okay, so we will see how to do this and what are the certain limitations around that, and up till how we can reach out. So let's see this in action quickly. So yeah, let's go back to the home page, and the third one will be config with simple form. I said a warning symbol because there are some limitations, or I can say things that cannot be done easily. So this one is dynamic simple form page, which is here. And as I said, I have the a controls object which is kind of map, or you can say not map basically, but array of controls, and each element of it represents some control. So like here there are currency, number, select, and slider. One interesting that you can see is here I have used import and then. Okay, so why I use this way? Because I don't want to evaluate the control until they are called. Okay, so once they call, they will be evaluated and they will be loaded. So that's why I just use import. I did not use async await. Okay, so you will see the magic. So how to render them? So to render them, as I said, I'm going to use ng for, right? And inside this, what we are going to do is we are going to use ng container, which is kind of you can say placeholder, or the thing which can be used to you can generally use ng container for ng ifs, or sometimes you have to add a dynamic content into it, then that time you use it. So over here we are going to say ng component outlet. So whenever any directive have a star before it, we generally call it template. I mean, they basically either add or remove the DOM. Okay, so basically they are structural directives. So over here, each control have what? Control have, see, each control have a component object which has promise. Okay, so let's do that. And we want to pass that evaluated object. So over here we can use the Angular feature called async, which basically take care of either resolving a promise or resolving a observable, right? Not resolving, but getting the value from the last emitted value from the observable. So I just save it and let's see what appears on the UI. Yeah, so if you look at this again, let me go back to this page and let's load it. So when I click on this, you will see that this, whenever this particular controls got rendered, that time these files are imported, and this controls also got rendered, like from that that component files. Let me debug a bit so that you will get a better idea of it. Yeah, and basically I'm directly binding the controls object. So yeah, so that way it is taking that up, and as soon as it loads, we can see that the files are loaded also. So if you want to see it dynamically loaded, what we can do is, initially we can keep the controls object blank and we can assign it from ngOnInit. So yeah, that will happen, but I will skip that. So that was very interesting point. But let's move on to the stuff like, generally when we do this kind of things, component do have input props to them. Like we have to pass something to them, and they also sometime reacts to the to whatever happens inside the component, which are output events, output, right? So in by when you use ng content component outlet, you cannot really pass inputs property into it or output property. And that was kind of you can say maybe a limitation or a thing that you cannot do with ng component outlet. Actually you can do it, but you have to write a lot of a code that can be spaghetti code, or maybe that will be a pretty much big effort to do. I'm not saying you cannot, but it will be like very challenging task if you are doing it first time. So for going to the next level where you want to render set of components based on configuration, what you can do is there are two community plugins. I think one is ng dynamic component, and there is one more, I forgot the name of it, but yeah, I don't know, I don't remember, but I know the one, so we may use that one. Okay, so let's move on to the further part of it and see how we can just go for the complex config based form. Okay, so same way here also we will have little bit different thing. Now we will have a map object inside our application itself somewhere, like a components map object, okay, which will be having all the maps of component which are there. So right now I took only 4. Now this controls data. Okay, this controls data. Most of the things of this, you can assume that most of the things of this control data will be coming from server side configuration. Okay, server, basically server object, except this group only. Just I mean, for sake of understanding it quickly, I just kept the group here only, so that just assume that the other things can be come from server except the group property. So basically what type of current control is currency. So whenever it is currency, make sure that the currency control is rendered. Then what inputs you can pass? The inputs can be what it can be. So it can be a value which is default value, what you should populate. What should be the control name? It can be price, and this group will be injected from your current code base. So just keep this one, and this other configuration will be coming from a server. And when it comes to rendering this, you have to make sure that out of this, somehow from this controls you should be creating a form first, right? So what I'm doing is I'm just making sure that looping over the controls and inserting each control into the form object, which is feedback form object that I have created. So let's see how this will work and how we can incorporate this example in action. Yeah, and for that we are going to use ng dynamic component plugin, which is kind of extension to what are the limitation for ng component outlet. So let's move on to the code part here, and we are going to see this one, config based complex form. So let me close all of this and open config based complex form. So this is very simple component. Some of the stuff I already kept, which is constant. So this is a map object which has a key and value pair of what is the component name and what is its component file. And same way the controls are there, which could be coming from the server. Right now I kept it here just. And as I said, what we will be doing is, based on this controls object, we will be creating a form object, right? So we have to loop over each control and get the form control name and add that control into it. So see, I must have defined a feedback form at the initial level. So I have created an empty feedback form. And as soon as I started creating a form, I will be adding the control into it. Okay. And whenever setting a value, I'm just taking it from control inputs value. Okay. So let's try to debug this. And okay, so we haven't gone to the rendering stuff yet. So how to render this? Initially, what we were using is, we were just using ngContainer and ngComponentOutlet. And ngComponentOutlet just help you to, bring your component in action without any input props. So how the other thing can be done? So, ng template can be used when you have to pass, so it is other way of writing ngContainer. Over here, you have to use attribute binding or property binding, basically, to pass the stuff. So basically, I'm going to write the same thing, component outlet, and over here I'm going to say that I'm looping over control, right? So I'm going to say I want to pass a component object to the component outlet. How I can do that? So if you look at this two things, suppose take an example of this control, the first one, currency. What I have to do, I have a type is currency, right? So if I want to bring the component for currency, then what I have to do, I have to say that component map, and then I have to pass this string somehow. Okay, so maybe what we can do is control.type, and then we can pass, we can access the controller map key. So maybe something like this. Inside this, we will always have control type, right? So what will happen whenever it is the first one, which is currency, it will automatically pick up from here, this one, right? This guy. So nice. And this complete thing is what? Promise, right? It is just an import. So you have to resolve it. So you have to write async over here so that it will be resolved. Now what I did is I just wrote the ngComponentOutlet the similar way using ng template. Okay, now we haven't achieved anything new that we have done before in last example. So how to extend this example and we can pass input props to this particular component. So to do that, this ndc, which is ng dynamic component directive, has written one property called as ndc, I think, dynamic inputs. Inside this, if you have any dynamic inputs, you can just pass it. So where we have the dynamic inputs, if you look at control object, we have the dynamic inputs in inputs prop, right? Just copy it and we can just pass it from the control object. And similar way, if you have outputs which you have to bind after the object is rendered, you can just pass the output object, and maybe you can also have outputs in your array. But yeah, of course that won't be coming from server. Maybe something configuration based thing you can think of, but yeah, you can do that way. Let's try to see what happens on the UI when we do this thing. So basically we have achieved that, like, input will be also passed. So let's see. Okay, so let me refresh this quickly and also debug it a bit. What is it? Dynamic complex form.ts, right? So, yeah, form is, we can see the form, but let wait a minute, what happened? So there are some errors. No. Okay, so this is, I missed some typo, I believe. NDC, not NGD. This should be NG dynamic component. So short form is NDC. Yeah, so here you go. You can pass controls. And you can see that when it comes here, it will try to put the control each time, like with the component name and the default value out of it. So same way it will happen 4 times. And you can see that at the end, you will see that your form object will have 4 controls: age, city, price, and rating, which was there in controls object, right? Price, same way, age, and all, right? So that was cool thing. And yeah, let me just play it, and you will see that now what I did is, on the page itself, whatever value you modify or apply, you can see that value is getting reflected inside your feedback form. I just printed it at the bottom, feedback form dot value, and then JSON. And you know, you can have all the validations as well. I haven't applied any validations, but you can also have that. Each field is form control, so each will have a validation as well. Let's try to put some validation if in case. Yeah, but yeah, that I have kept that topic aside, because that will require some configuration, and that may not help to focus on the core concept. So yeah, you can also add validators, like maybe you can pass a validators object in some form, and that validators may have like a object, maybe kind of type of validator required, number and whatever. You can go with that way, and inside the create form method, you can after creating a form control, you can attach a validator using set validator method, kind of this control. Does it return what it returns?
This doesn't return anything.
Yeah, this
as I
doesn't
remember.
return. Yeah,
Just a
so you
void.
have to get the form control again somehow, like this.
Yeah, okay. It's like when the new you need to take the instance.
Yeah, not control here, but yeah, same
No,
way.
it's-
Yes.
Yeah, okay, got you, man. Don't worry.
Yeah, so this is all about it, but yeah, let me finish. There are 2 more slides. I think I am over time or what?
We still have 5 minutes to go, so.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, the quick thing which is recently announced 2 days ago. So standalone components is on the way. So when this feature will land, I saw the PR which has very basic examples. So right now we have to also define a module with component to have a scan. But after this PR, you don't have to declare a module as well. This component can be standalone itself.
Can I add something to this?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, this PR is just a spike,
Yes.
which basically means that they are testing to see if this is something they might going to do.
Okay.
So it's not going to be in Angular anytime soon. It probably will not land before 14, perhaps 15, if it's going to land.
Mm-hmm.
I'm doing some discussions with Alex around this already, but it's really, really early on. Some people tweeted out this thing as something that would land pretty soon, which it isn't. So just a word of warning here. We are going to be scammed for a while.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, most of the people have tweeted about it, so I went over it, and yeah, Yeah, I think so. It's just a trial to see what is the. Yeah, understood. Yeah, so that was it, and I hope this particular ways will help you to boost your application performance using this dynamic lazy loading techniques. Yeah, sorry, I may have overtimed.
No worries, man. This is a very interesting topic.
Yeah.
Even
We're not
I-
sorry at all. Nobody left. Not one single person, I don't think, left. I didn't leave.
Nope,
And
that
you
was
actually
great.
did not go over. You have 4 minutes left. What are you talking about? You're too hard on yourself. That was amazing. It's
Yes.
perfect timing.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
So yeah, so anybody have any questions?
And Kita, is he on the calendar for South Asia?
No, I don't think so. But then, I mean, we didn't want to repeat speakers, so
Yeah.
at least for
Well,
a
I
while.
think
Maybe
it
we
would
can
be-
have him sometime in the future for people who missed
I don't
it,
think
but-
we should repeat speakers back to back. I think we should just put some distance. But the thing is, when I see people, because there's a lot of people from India in the South Asia channel, and when I see people from India who are like really cool speakers and teachers, like I want them to see that too, because this guy is like so awesome and successful. Let's not get mushy. Don't let it go to your head, Pankaj. But I think it would be great. I think it would be really good to see him. And I don't know if you have any interest in hosting, but we're also looking for co-hosts for Ankita. Ankita is the lead host, and she's amazing. But we don't want her to have to be there every single week. So we try to put more than one host in each channel. So if you have any interest in hosting, you should go make friends with Ankita.
Great. So I don't have to be here every freaking week?
No, you do. You do have
crap.
to be here every week. Yeah. You have to be at every call every week. You have to be in every call, Sander. Sorry. Hope you don't mind.
Okay.
With or without drink.
Yes.
Yeah, but you can drink beer.
So these sessions happen each week or how? I think I'm.
It's every other week.
Okay.
So the APAC, this is Chung and Connie have the APAC channel every other Wednesday. And then the other Wednesdays is Ankita, and usually Connie's over there too, because we love Connie. We can't get enough of Connie. But it's every week at the same day, but they rotate between, and they're friends and kind of sister groups. So no matter what, I don't know what time it is in your time zone, but the same time every week, we will meet here, either Chung and Connie or Ankita and Connie. No matter what, you got Connie.
I thought you said you liked me.
We do like you. That's why we keep coming back here, and you bring us amazing guests. I just assumed that you invited Pankaj because you invite all these amazing guests, but Chung knew him, so
It's a joint effort.
he was going to be here no matter. Well, I'm glad because I never even knew him. I wasn't paying attention, and so now I have a new friend.
You
I hope
have
can we be
missed
friends?
out.
I know.
I approved him to be a GDE like
Yes,
way back.
2000.
Well, Sander, I was hanging out with you for a long time, and I wasn't paying attention to you either. I meet a lot of people, but it takes me a while. But I'm glad because now I know how cool he is, and so I'm excited about that.
Yeah,
So
I
I'm
just
also-
send the link. I send the link. Chung invite. I send the link. Joint effort.
I know.
So I'm amazed that Sander remember that he took my interview, GD interview. Nice.
Apparently, you made an impression. I will
No,
never
no.
forget you again. I
Yeah,
think you're cool.
Thanks. Yes. Thank you.
You're welcome. Well, we would like to see you in some other channels.
Yeah, I will
And
be happy to.
also,
Happy to be.
and you're an Angular GDE, right? I mean, you look like an Angular GDE.
Yes.
Because we have Ask a GDE once a month.
Mhm.
This was the thing that Sander created, and we do it every month. And now we've got a panel of GDEs. And if you ever want to join our panel, but it might be because you're in APAC, right? So it might be kind of late at night for you.
Yeah.
But
Same
anyway,
as-
you look like an Angular GDE. Yeah, I can say that. He's got a shirt on, Jayan. Don't pick on me. I don't know.
yeah, I'm Angular GD. Yes.
Yeah.
So I'm.
But anyway, the
maybe-
point is you're always welcome.
Yeah. So yeah, I will get in touch with Trung related to this, and maybe whatever, wherever. I mean, if there is anywhere I can speak, I can have it.
We would
Yeah.
love it. Hey, by the way, can I throw in an unofficial announcement just for everybody who's in this channel? Because I was talking to somebody from the Angular team about the hallway track, because we have the hallway to Sander. Yes, I can. we have somebody from the hallway team come once a month and just hang out with us without a presentation, just like, fill us in on what they're doing and ask questions. But it's kind of late at night. The reason why we started this channel was because Connie said every cool thing happens while we're asleep, and she was sick of it. So we started the channel. The point is that I think that we're going to have a hallway track like APAC version and have an earlier, so that we can actually have the Angular team come maybe once a month. I don't know if it'll be every month, but I'm going to try and set that up so we can have like an afternoon version of the hallway track so that we can have the APAC people in the calls participating with the Angular team. So you won't have to stay late for hallway track.
I stayed up yesterday, so should be okay for me. But this is always better.
Well, we'll still have that one, but we'll have another special one for you guys, so you don't have to stay up late. Can you guys post? Because I gotta go. I have another meeting. Can you guys post in your channels? Just try to figure out what day. Because if you guys tell me what day and time you would like it to be scheduled, then that's when I'll schedule it. I work for you, you know that.
Oh,
so let me know.
Yeah, sure.
I'm here for you. You just tell me what you want. I will try to schedule another hallway track. We'll do a monthly thing. We could also try to do a monthly thing with the GDEs, or maybe we have an APAC thing for the earlier time zone. Remember, in these APAC channels and the South Asia channel, this weekly meetup, it doesn't have to be the only thing that you guys do. Well, you've got Singapore going on too, so you guys could do other stuff in here. So if you want to try to have like a GDE panel, a Q&A panel for the APAC region, or a hallway track or stuff like that, then we just need to figure out when.
Connie, let me translate this for you. You can do more, not less, more.
Oh, Connie's doing so much.
Exactly.
Connie, we really, really, really appreciate you, Connie. You're amazing. And you too, Chung, and I'm really happy to see this channel growing. It's very exciting. So yeah, we're going to try to bring some more GDE events and some of the big stuff from the main channel to do it early. We'll probably still do it in the main channel so everybody can find it, but we'll do it at least earlier in this time zone.
I will try to be there if my schedule will allow it. So.
And I have another project for you, Sonder. We have a lot of stuff going on, you guys. Fun stuff. Thank you so much again, Pankaj.
And thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thanks everyone for joining today. I'll stop the recording. And
thank you, Pankaj.
Thank
you. From Singapore.
Thanks. Bye.
Thanks, Connie.